Welcome to the BCMA Show, brought to you by Southern Sound Outfit. Welcome everyone, I'm your host Jacob. You're listening to the BCMA Show. We have a guest with us, a Nashville artist, and it is Miss Stephanie Nash. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Stephanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 25 years old, originally from Fresno, California. I grew up there for the first 20 years of my life. I'm a Fresno State Bulldog, went there for 3 years, then transferred to UT. Knoxville, we moved to Tennessee about 5 years ago. We actually dairy farmed out in California, and then we moved our dairy farm to Tennessee.
So growing up in California, most people from the South, I would say, would think it's a bright lights in Hollywood, but you were on a dairy farm, grew up on a farm country life out there in California.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't realize is LA and San Francisco are really small compared to the Central Valley, where agriculture is really based out of. It's the number one agriculture county in the United States. And so it was a very humbling upbringing to be in a community with so many agriculture families and go to school with a lot of them, grow up in college with a lot of them, and still have that relationship with them.
Well, it's just like Brantley Gilbert said, country is countrywide. It's everywhere you'd never expect to see. So going into your childhood, I mean, at what age did you start to write music or play and love music?
Well, it really started when I was young. I grew up in church. We were Baptist, so I would always go to church with my family, and I was always in the choir growing up. And then I guess around probably age 8, I started private music lessons, and I took those all through high school, and I kept those going for a long time. And then probably around my junior high years is when I started really writing music for mostly church. And then as I grew older, I really have admired the 90s country style, Brooks and Dunn, Dolly Parton, all that. And so I started really getting into country music and writing that kind of style. And I kind of took a break from it after college, or during college, just because I got busy with the farm and trying to learn more about the business side. And then when we moved to Nashville, it was never really a big dream of mine to become a singer. I actually got asked by some other people through agriculture that have heard some of my songs to start. So that's how I got started, is people from the agriculture community pushing me to actually be a country artist.
Well, back to the very beginning of what you said, growing up in worship and church choir, I think that's such a great thing for individual family stuff to put their children in, to learn music, not only singing and worship through worship songs. So and I'm of course a huge Christian music lover. Shout out to our Louisiana own Grammy Award winner Lauren Daigle.
Amazing artist.
And then you mentioned your family moved to Tennessee. So moving to Tennessee at the age of 20, it kind of sparked that musical fire when, inside, would you say, and drew you to Nashville? Tell us a little bit about your first impression of Nashville.
Well, honestly, when I first moved to Tennessee, I was still in college, so I finished my first 2 years, my last 2 years at UT, and from there I moved home and worked on the farm for about a year. And when people from agriculture started to push me, that was about the 4th year that I've lived here, that I started going downtown, trying to find a group. And honestly, the first time I tried, the couple times, I never really found a group. So I kind of stopped doing it for a little while. And this past year, I've really been pushing and networking as much as I can, and really seeing how it works. And I've never known how hard people work until you move to Nashville. There's so many artists, amazing artists, that should be seen and heard, and it just hasn't happened for them yet. So I'm definitely taking my time. I'm new. Some of these artists have been here for 8 to 10 years, so I just have to be humble through the process and try my best to be a good artist.
I think the best advice for anyone to tell you being in Nashville and all the talent is just to be yourself and be original, because that's really what sets apart, musicians, the ones that try to change themselves for the industry, and the ones that are just original. I think that's the biggest thing. And you mentioned, and you do have that '90s country sound in your voice, and that's few and far between in modern female country artists, on mainstream radio. Who would you say was your biggest inspiration out of the great female artists of the '90s?
Oh man, Leanne Rimes, for sure. She can still sing.
Yeah.
She don't do it very often, but when she performs, her voice is pure, so amazing. She's got blues, she's got genuine slow ballads. She's all over the place, and she still is a huge inspiration for me.
That's a great answer. I never, I never expected that, but you're so totally right and spot on. Leanne Rimes is one of the great vocalists in the industry, not just country music, but all over. So we fast forward now to June of 2018. You released the debut with Kyle Elliott, Never Break.
Yes.
And I mean, it has over 70,000 streams on Spotify, so I would say that's a success. Tell us the story of how that song came about.
Well, that's one of the first songs that when I started writing again after college, I wrote after kind of a breakup. And I came to Kyle. He was one of the first guys that I met throughout the area. And I had already written most of it, and I was struggling with, his part and some of the bridge. And I was like, do you have any aspect of the song, any inspiration behind, some heartbreak that you've been through? And so we sat down and wrote that song, and it took us a couple months to record it, but when we finally did, I think it turned out really good. And he's still writing a lot. I think as an artist, though, I have definitely grown in my writing. I wrote another slow song that hopefully a couple months or so I'll release, but I'm really proud of the new music I've been writing, and introducing myself as a single artist is going to be a good opportunity for me.
As a songwriter, when is the time that I guess you would say is your best times that you can sit down and write songs? Do they kind of just come to you, or is it a process you go through?
I mean, I'm really inspired after I go to rounds. If I hear really good songs, sometimes I'll walk out and just come up with the title, and on my way back to the farm, I'll write it. I write a lot when I drive. I drive from the farm to Nashville.
Hopefully you're not riding and driving at the same time. We don't want the people to think you're a dangerous driver.
Oh, no. I have my voiceover. I kind of do notes, and I record myself as I drive. So when I get back home, I can finish the song. But if I come up with a melody or anything, I record it right away. I have Bluetooth on my phone and in my truck, so usually I do that so I don't miss an opportunity for a great song. But I definitely think a lot in my truck and write a lot in my truck.
Well, I personally am a big fan of musical lyrics and songwriting, and there's so many talented songwriters in Nashville and really all over, and the kind of the people behind the stories of these songs that are heard on the radio. So I have much respect for that, and much respect for artists such as yourself that are breaking into Nashville and staying true to that original music and writing. And would you say that songwriting can be somewhat of a therapeutic type thing to deal with certain things that happen in life?
Oh, definitely. I mean, my other song called Your Love Was Bad For Me, I mean, I cried during that song, and I've talked with many artists, and even on rounds, they'll admit, I pulled over and cried for this song. And it's a good chance for us to kind of be who we are. I've seen, a lot of people in Nashville that just have that realness to them. And it definitely is something good for our hearts, that is for sure.
Yeah, to me, country music as a whole is a special thing because it tells stories, and whether it's a happy story, a heartbreak story, a tragedy, and for you to be able to listen to a song, live that story, and relate to it is the beauty of really all music, but country music is really based on that. And it's exciting to see, like you mentioned, all these talented artists and writers that are in Nashville now that are bringing that original emotion back to the genre and kind of steering away from the poppy, what I don't bro country or whatever they call it, and bringing their original, just authenticity to it. So it's something great to see for the genre and an exciting time for sure.
Yeah, I think that's missing a little bit, and that's why I kind of strayed away 2.5 years ago, because I didn't see that push for more of a 90s country influence. And I also, something about me is I don't play guitar, so every melody I come up with is kind of through my head. I don't listen to a lot of new music just because I want to keep it different. Whatever I come up with is from my heart or from something that comes in my mind, and I just want to be, the realest I can be through every lyric in my song.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the recipe for success when it comes to being a country music artist. So you just keep that mindset up, and I know good things will happen for you. Now let's get into your music. We mentioned the song Never Break. You got some new stuff coming, huh?
New stuff. I've been in the studio. So my producer is Kent Wells. He is known for doing all the Dolly Parton stuff. Found him through Instagram. I had a lot of interviews for producers, and nobody stuck until him. I sent him songs. It probably took him 20 minutes to call me back saying that he wanted to work with me, and we've been a team ever since. We've been in the studio since October. We have recorded and mastered 6 songs. We're about to record 2 more here in probably 2 months, and we're just going to keep going and rolling with it, and he has believed in me and has built a relationship with me, and I'm so proud of that. So yes, there's a lot of new music that's going to be coming in the next couple of months.
Now you sent me a few tracks before we got on the phone, and I listened to them, and one in particular that you have coming out as a single soon, and it's "Ain't Gonna Be My Man." Great song. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first started writing again, it was all attitude, edgy, sassy songs. I was coming up with tons of titles left and right, and really writing by myself a lot. And now that I've gotten into more networking, I do write with a lot of guys. I have a lot of edge, and I think being on a farm, I work with guys myself. So I love that edginess, that country. Like, I've been there, I've lived it. And I've found that, the guys from Georgia, the guys from Kentucky, they grew up on a farm just like me. So Ain't Gonna Be My Man came from, this guy I was talking to, and he was kind of playing games, and I was like, I'm just kind of done, and you're not going to be my man. So I came up with that title, and the first line is, I got a long list of problems with you on that song, and it just fit really well. And I went with it, and it's my producer's favorite song. It's my favorite song to release first as my debut single.
Well, that definitely, you are definitely in that category of female artists that have that fierceness to them. That's almost lost these days. I mean, of course, Miranda Lambert did it for years and still is, but I'd say, and Lainey Wilson's one from Louisiana that has that flair to her, and I'm sure there's so many more I can name. But this song does have that, upbeat kind of, I don't need you, it ain't a sad heartbreak. It's I'm gonna be good. I'm a strong woman, and I'm not putting up with it. So you're speaking for the female nation and being, ambassador for that. So we have the song with us here. Do you want to give the listeners a little taste of it and play it for them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I'll let you go ahead and introduce it.
Steph Nash, Ain't Gonna Be My Man for y'all.
Ain't Gonna Be My Man by Miss Stephanie Nash. We are here with her. That's a great song. When are we? When are the people can expect to hear that one dropping?
March 22nd.
March 22nd. So this song will be part of an EP or a full-length record, or?
For now, we're gonna see how this song does. I mean, we really believe in it. I've had people get behind me these past 2 weeks. I'm doing 5 rounds next week just to introduce myself a little bit more in Nashville. I have the listening room this weekend, Revival. I'm doing the Alabama Tornado Relief rounds at Nashville Palace. I'm also doing Gunslingers and Downtown Tin Roof. All next week I'm going to be busy, so you can see me out a lot next week. But yeah, I'm introducing some new music. Expect a lot more of that attitude and songs coming up. But the plan is now just to push this and maybe put out another single in April.
We live in a world of social media these days, obviously, and would you say, I mean, I know you have a website, but for everybody to keep up with everything you got going on and your shows and stuff, is it better for them to follow your social media accounts or the website?
Yeah, I would say the website's still new just because I'm a newer artist. It's nice to, if you guys want to know about me, you know, my farm background, what I do on a day-to-day basis, that's kind of where you get to know me. But my Instagram is active all the time. That's Steph Nash Music, and you can guys find me there. I put up all my farm stuff and everything that's happening in Nashville. I don't have Twitter, but I do have Facebook, and I post there a lot. But Instagram is my biggest social media site right now.
Yeah, I would say Instagram has blossomed a lot of artists. Of course, we live in a social media-driven world, but you guys can check her out on all of her social medias and her website at Stephanie Nash. Is it StephanieNash.com or StephanieNashMusic.com?
Music, StephanieNashMusic.com.
So StephanieNashMusic.com, and check out her bio and stuff. And if you're in Nashville, she's a busy girl. She's going to be all around. So check out the Riders Rounds, check out all the venues, and you're bound to see her in there. Now, Stephanie, you're committed now. You're in Nashville. You're doing the process. You're on the crazy journey. What has been, in your opinion, so far, the best experience of all this?
Honestly, just meeting people that have believed in me and trusted in me. I mean, my producer is such a blessing. He really has pushed me. I mean, he'll sit down, and he has a contract with ASCAP and BMI, and he is busy all the time, and he still makes time to sit down with me for an hour and talk about direction and what I need to do, and telling me to be patient and stuff like that. So it's been rewarding to kind of have a person like that, because I'm not as active as I should be downtown. So my networking, and I found, a couple friends so far, but I think as I grow and once my single comes out, I'll find a little bit more friends that I can write with and, go to rounds with. But for now, I've just been writing and focusing on being in the studio, and that has been such a blessing for me.
Now, I know you're relatively new to the writing and this, the whole Nashville experience. But if you could pick in a dream scenario, any artist, as long as they're alive, who would you love to have a collaboration with or duet with, if you could?
Oh, man, that's hard. But I've been talking about going to see them in Vegas for years now, and it would be Brooks and Dunn. Oh my gosh, what an amazing duo. Their songs and their voices are so country, and I have looked up to their music for a long time.
Brooks and Dunn is the duo that created duos in country music.
Yeah.
There was no, there wasn't any. And if you don't know much about Brooks and Dunn, you definitely should look up the story of how they came to be, and how, it's pretty funny. They didn't know each other, and Ronnie and Kix, and they just now household names, and they're now releasing a remastered album of all their hits with artists, and current artists. And I love the redo of Brand New Man with Luke Combs.
Luke Combs, so good. I listened to that last
night. That's an awesome thing. I've seen Luke a few times in concert, and he plays that regularly at his shows, and then for him to be able to go and be a part of that, and I think Cody Johnson's going to be on there, and just a bunch of artists, but Brooks and Dunn, yes, that would be. I would listen to it. I certainly would, and I think 100% of country fans would as well.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, your story is one that is unique. It sounds to me that you're very talented. You have a gift, a natural gift that you can't teach or coach, or so long as you use that and continue to grow as a musician and a writer and surround yourself, I see nothing but good things to happen for you.
Yeah, I really am praying. I know God has a plan, so I'm just going to let it ride and see how this song, turns out, and see who falls in love with me as an artist.
Amen to that. And the only thing I say is, again, just stay yourself and don't change for the industry and don't change for anyone else. Yeah,
I mean, the last thing and the biggest thing that I've seen is, Jason Aldean and Miranda haven't changed for the industry. And I really appreciate that. I listen to their music all the time. And, especially Jason Aldean, he's down home country. And I know some other artists that have been around him, and he said, I'm not going to change. I like my music. I like what I'm doing. And, I will say about him is, he puts out albums that are very consistent with his sound. And that's why I love listening to him over and over and over again.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that, because I was literally talking to my girlfriend the other day about how so many artists have changed for the industry and the mainstream. And I said, but Jason is one that has never changed. He's never changed from his style. And every album, every song he puts out is good. I mean, obviously he hits number one quite often, but you mentioned it, and it is very, very true. And it's a respectable thing, and I think it's coming back to that. We mentioned Luke Combs, 5 number ones straight.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
He has embodied the image of breaking the mold of having to be, the look, or he just. If you didn't know who he was, you would think he was a yard man working, weed eating grass, but starts singing, and it's like, wow. And he's never with all this success has not changed. So I think that's a great advocate as well for the up and coming artists, that you don't have to change for the industry. As long as you have a gift and great music, it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I come from the agriculture background. I went to every country concert that came to Fresno, California, and I will say that that's something that I'm not going to change about myself. And I think there's a revolution starting for that 90s sound to come back, and me and my producer talked about it last night. It's a good time to be proud of your music and really push for that rock and roll 90s country sound, because it's coming back. It is.
It's coming back, and I know personally, 90s country is, I guess in our generation, 90s country is what we grew up on, and it is the classics to us, and to have that coming back is something that, as a fan in general, is awesome,
Yeah, it's a really good thing. I think there's a lot of heart that's missing in country music that needs to be there. A lot of fluff. Like I said earlier, realness needs to be there again.
Exactly. I call it fluff songs, that just have a good melody and a upbeat, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you can listen to a song and it hits you to your core, that emotion, that's in any genre. That's what music's about to me. That's the power of it. So it's awesome to see it coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Stephanie, we really appreciate you being on. We look forward to the release of the new music you got coming. And everyone be sure to follow her on all her social medias and check out her music and catch her at a show if you're in Nashville area. I also want to thank Heather with Gravel Road Management that referred me to Stephanie and told me about her. And she's a great person and a lover of music such as myself. And Stephanie, I'm going to let you close out with any kind of last sayings or thank yous.
Yeah, I mean, just follow me on Instagram. You guys kind of heard about my background, so I'm gonna be myself, and I'm gonna write good country music that, I think we've been missing for a couple years. And I'll also be in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. I'm going to the 3rd Street Songwriter Festival. April 6th and 7th, I'll be down there. I have a round at 3 on Saturday, and then I believe 3 again on Sunday. I'll be posting that, but I'm really excited for that opportunity. Heather asked me to ride down there with her to be her artist, so we're going to be headed down there in 2 weeks.
And you have just led me to a plug. This is something that I've yet to release to you guys, but we will, Bayou Country Music Association will be a sponsor host for this year's 3rd Street Songwriter Festival down in Nashville, down in Baton Rouge, and we're going to be teaming up with Heather of Gravel Road Management to co-host the venue, Boudreaux Thibodeau's, and we're going to have some great artists, and Stephanie's going to be part of that lineup. So if you have not been or heard of the 3rd Street Songwriter Festival in Baton Rouge, it is an amazing place, opportunity for artists, young artists, songwriters. It's just a great thing. They kind of turned a little downtown Baton Rouge into a mini Nashville for a weekend. And Miss Kay, who runs it, the founder, has done an amazing job over the past few years with that. And Miss Kay, you might know her son, CJ Solar. He's a musician he's originally from here in Louisiana, but he's wrote quite a few songs, including number 1, Up Down. But yeah, that's going to be an awesome time down there at the 3rd Street Songwriter Festival. So we look forward to meeting you in person and jamming out and hearing some of your stuff. And everybody that's listening, you definitely don't want to miss that. We're going to have more details on all that later on, and we'll be publishing that. But thank you, Stephanie, again for being on the show. You're bound for big things, and we appreciate the time, and you're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Awesome. Thank you. I will see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the BCMA Show podcast, available on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio app, and our YouTube page. For more information, be sure and check out our website, BayouCountryMusic.com.